What's up, family? Welcome to day 5 of 31 days of encouragement. Y'all thought I was gonna fall off by down. Nope. Y'all probably didn't think that. Say, catch me around day 20. I feel you. But today is day 5 of 31 days of encouragement. So before I start today, I want to address something. So someone, a friend of mine, watched the video from yesterday, and then they asked me a question. And he was like, so what does it look like? Because I mentioned in the video about loving God with all your heart. And they was like, well, what does that look like? So I thought that was a good question. And I thought it'd be good if I addressed that before I started what I was going to do today. So real quickly, what does it mean to love God with all your heart? Number one, loving God, it has to do with obedience, right? Jesus said, why do you call me Lord if you don't do what I say? All right. So if God had a love language, one of them would be obedience, right? And then not only obedience, but so, I said yesterday, whatever a man thinks in his heart, then so is he. So how do you see yourself? How does your heart portray you to you? Are you seeing yourself the way God sees you, right? Whatever man thinks in his heart, so is he. So allow God to shape the way you see you so that then you can show up in the earth the way that God intended for you to, as opposed to pretending. You may not even know you're pretending, right? Most people are being someone who they actually are not. I don't know how to say that, but you get what I'm saying. You're being fake, but you don't know you're being fake because you've been this way all your life. But it's not the authentic you. You don't even know that person. When you allow God to fill your heart, or when you love God with your whole heart, you give all of that shame and all that stuff to him. And then you take on what he says about you. And then the third thing with loving God with your whole heart, remember I said yesterday that the heart is the control center of the mind. Let God run the control center. Let God run the control center. That means, though, you got to read his word because like you won't know what he wants. You won't know what he says. You won't know what the requirements are to live a life that's pleasing to him if you don't read his word. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful for that question. What does it mean to love the Lord your God with all your heart? Now, today, I thought I would encourage you from a more personal level, right? Maybe a little bit more personal today. So today I'm in Proverbs 5 and it's the first verse. I'm just going to read the first verse, right? So, here's what it says. Pay attention to my wisdom. Listen carefully to my counsel. Now, although Solomon is talking about his wisdom that he got from God, I'm going to share with you today my wisdom that I got from God and life also, right? Because I'm not saying that God woke me up in the middle of the night and said, hey, son, what do you want? And I asked for wisdom and he gave that to me. Obviously, that's not true like he did Solomon. However, I've been through some things and God has shown me some things and he has shaped me in a certain way. Now, you may not want to, I don't know what you want. Let me just get to it. So what I want to do is share some wisdom. I want to share something for my single people, and then I want to share something for the married folk. Okay. So get right into it. First of all, for my single people, and these are not any kind of, this is not in any kind of order or hierarchy. Okay. So first thing is this. Don't be in a rush to get married. This is for my single people. Don't be in a rush to get married. Okay. Marriage is good. Marriage is God's idea, but it's not what you think. I'm telling you, it's not what you think. And honestly, the issue really isn't marriage. The issue is how we understand marriage. The issue is the things that we come to marriage for. People mistakenly think that marriage is the place that you're supposed to get all the love that you deserve. Yeah. And it is that expectation that sets people up to be mad when they think the other person isn't loving them right. Think about it. It's that expectation. What you expect determines how you respond to life, right? For example, when you're running late for work, do you know why you don't get mad? When you're running late for work, do you know why you don't get mad? Because you can't just go outside and mount up on wings like an eagle? Do you know why you don't get mad because you can't do that? Because you don't expect to be able to do that. It's not an expectation for you, right? When you have unrealistic expectations for marriage, you set yourself up for disappointment. Yeah, don't be in a hurry to get married, because what I've discovered is that marriage, this is gonna shock some of y'all, it's for grown folk. Yeah, marriage is for grown folk, but most people who are wanting to get married, most people who are in a hurry to get married, they're not mature enough for what they're trying to sign up for. Okay, here's another one, another piece of wisdom. When people show you who they are, believe them. I don't know if it was Oprah or Maya Angelou. One of them said it. I heard it somewhere. But listen, when folks show you who they are, you better believe them. Even if it's been years and now they're changing, right? So in the beginning, you thought they was one way, but now after 10 years or so, they're changing, but you're still stuck on the other person. When they show you who they are, believe them. Now watch this. When I say believe them, you also got to understand that, so whatever you see, you are interpreting in your mind. So I'm not saying whatever you see, believe what you see. That's not what I'm saying, because you don't know what you see. You really don't. But I want you to be curious, ask questions, get some understanding, right? But you need to know. Don't do that. Yeah, you need to know. I mean, when a person show you who they are, you need to believe them. So how do I believe who you are when you show me? How the person consistently shows up, how they consistently respond to pain. Like, believe that until they show you something different. Okay, but especially also folk that you've been knowing a while. You've been knowing them a while, and then now they're different, but you can't accept, like you won't believe, like you see some shady behavior, but you're like, nah, you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. Nah, it can't be that. They've never been that kind of person. You're going to hurt yourself. Okay? Wisdom says, I'm not saying you got to make a judgment or you got to act on, but you need to pay attention. Here's another one. When you are ready to choose a mate, make sure you know how to hear from God. Listen, when it comes to choosing a life partner, you need to make sure that you know how to hear from God. Right? You need his wisdom. Why? Because who you choose to spend your life with will directly affect, impact your experience on the planet. You get with the wrong person, it can literally flip your life upside down. Your experience on the planet can be miserable. The person you marry can put a cap on your ability to be happy and free. Because the two becomes one flesh, and now y'all married, and now this person don't even fit. Listen, you need God's wisdom to choose a mate. Before 2023, the area I was most competent in, the area I was most incompetent in when it comes to relationships, 2023, the area that I was most incompetent in, up until that point, I should say, was choosing a mate. I didn't, even in my content, like I didn't talk a lot about how to choose the right mate. I talked about how to make it work once you got somebody. And I've been doing that because anyway. But after 2023, I'm wiser, I'm smarter, right? I'm stronger. But you need God's wisdom, right? My word to you is this: don't marry potential. Yup. Do not. I know it feels good. I know y'all doing stuff that y'all shouldn't be doing, and it feels amazing. And so now, because of that, you've created all the, don't marry potential. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself bad, right? Because the potential that you see, what you don't realize, it's fueled by your fantasy. when I say it's fueled by your fantasy, what I'm saying is it's not real. It's not. So you get with somebody and you see potential. Ooh, I could see them being such and such. You made that up. Even if they say, I want to grow in this area, you don't know what they are talking about. That's a mistake that I made. I want to be better in this. Oh, okay. But that didn't mean what I thought it meant. So when I'm trying to help you, all I'm doing is injuring you. And my point is, so you don't lose it, don't chase potential. I'm sorry, don't marry potential. You can date somebody for a little while based on potential. But if that potential doesn't start to realize itself, we go back to the other one. When folks show you who they are, believe them. Okay? Here's the next one. When it comes to choosing a mate, instead of choosing someone you like and then expecting them to change, choose someone who is already showing up in life the way you would like for somebody to show up. Right? For example, you like a lot of attention? Find someone who likes to give a lot of attention. Fellas, you want a wife who's submissive? Well, stop dating these independent women. Ladies, you want somebody who's a spiritual leader? Well, stop choosing men who you got to beg to pray. Right? You got to know what your standard is. The standard is the baseline. It's the floor. Right? You got to know what your standard is. You need to know what your deal breakers are. Why do I say that? That may sound like common sense to some of y'all, but it was just either last year or year before. I was talking to my best friend, and she had a new guy, right? And so she was telling me about some questions he was asking her, and then she asked me, "Hey, so what are your deal breakers for relationships?" And I was like, I don't know. And I was smack dab in the middle of a relationship. But I didn't, but watch this. I know what they are now. Yeah. I didn't know what my deal breakers were, but now I do. Okay. So you need to know what your standard is, what your baseline is, no matter how great it is, this red flag I'm not running through. For example, like for me, if we don't believe the same thing, why is my shirt itching? I'm sorry that I keep, my neck itching. It's this anyway. If where was I at? If we don't believe the same thing about the same God, deal breaker for me. We got to believe the same thing about the same God. I don't care how fine you are. It doesn't matter how much fun we have, how much we laugh. Right? For me, that's it's a deal breaker. It's another deal breaker. If you have an avoidant attachment style, I'm like Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. I'm out. No, we're not doing that, right? Know what your deal breakers are. And then I got another one. So make seeking understanding a standard that you live by. Make seeking understanding a standard that you live by. Why do I say that? Because remember, we all live in different worlds. Your world only exists in your mind. And so if you only live in your world, but then you try to operate outside of your world, you're going to get a lot of things wrong. But if you make seeking understanding a standard that you live by, then when you hear stuff, you're always going to examine it. That's going to help you for when you get into a relationship, because again, you guys are going to be two people from different worlds. And when they say things, because y'all speak the same language, you're going to think y'all are talking about the same thing, but y'all not. And it's going to cause confusion. Okay? This is a really important one, because this can flip your life and your relationships upside down. Learn to get your ultimate validation from God. Learn to get your ultimate validation from God, because if you don't, you will suffer. Why? Because so when I don't get my validation, my ultimate validation from God, now I'm looking to people to push the validation button on my remote. What if you mad at me that day and you don't feel like giving it, but I need it? You do well by getting it from God. What do I mean by ultimate validation? Determining who you are, whether you're valuable, whether you're lovable, whether you're good enough. Because see, things will happen in life that will make you believe you're not good enough. Things will happen to make you believe, I deserve this kind of treatment, but you don't. But when God has validated who you are, then you don't need someone else's approval for you to walk in that. So think about this. I usually ask this example, like I'll use myself. So if somebody walked up to me and they said, hey, you're not a black man. How long you think we're going to go back and forth? We're not. Why? Because I'm sure that I'm black and I'm going to think that you got an issue. But in the same way, if you challenge something that I'm not sure about, we might go back and forth about that. And so the point that I'm making is, if you don't get your ultimate validation from God when it's with someone else, you're going to need them to validate. So when I don't believe I'm good enough, I need you to validate that I am. And it's a whole lot of ways that I may want to get that done. But my point is, so I don't get confusing, if I'm depending on another human being to validate who I am, I will suffer without question. Okay. So learn to get your ultimate validation from God. Here's a good one. Don't allow, this has probably been the bane of my existence from probably teenage years, and I'm 53. That's not good. Don't allow how you feel to override what God said or what makes sense. Don't allow how you feel to override what God says or to override what makes sense. Sometimes I get people who are, and I'm still talking to the single folk, but I get people who are married, who were recently single. They met each other, got married in 6 months, and now 6 months later, they're talking to me. And when I'm talking to them, I'm like, how y'all even meet each other? Y'all shouldn't even know each other's names. Like, y'all are like literally oil and water. Why is that important? Because we get in those relationships because I meet you, boom, it's exciting. Oh, this feels great. So wisdom says, hey, slow down, get to know them. But my feelings say, I've never felt this way about. I sound like Brian McKnight, but I don't feel like it right now because y'all will be blowing me up. But what I'm saying is, how you feel then drives your decision as opposed to what makes sense or as opposed to what God said. So there are some people, so the Bible says no sex before marriage. I know Christians who they'll say, well, I'm not going to have sex with just anybody. But if we're in love and we're engaged, then, we're going to do that. You don't allow how you feel. And those just like a couple of areas, how your feelings can lead you the wrong way. Don't allow how you feel to override what God said or what makes sense. Okay. Now that means you got to know what makes sense. But yeah, to that point, here's another one. You need a what I call a village of mature believers to help you see and make wise choices. This too has been one of my biggest hurdles in life. One of the reasons that I've made some of the major mistakes in life that I've made is because I was the only one giving me commentary and advice on my life. That's not good. Don't be so wise that someone else can't speak into your life. Don't know so much that you can't receive from someone. And that wasn't my issue. The reality is just folk they just wasn't around. Right. And so you need to have a community of people that can speak into your life so that you can make wiser choices. Right. And I'm just telling you that from experience. You don't want to major life choices. Like you make the ultimate decision. But if you know someone who's a believer, I'm sorry, that's the standard that I'm teaching. A believer, and they're wise and they're mature, like let them run your ideas by them sometimes. Okay. One more. If you're single and you want to be married, do not get married for love. Period. That's it. Don't get married for love. Too many people come to marriage looking for things that don't exist in marriage. right? You need to know what you need. As a matter of fact, you need to know what you need in a mate before you choose a mate. But you can't know what you need in a mate if you don't know you. So then what you'll do is choose what feels good instead of what is good. Yeah, you'll choose what feels good instead of what is good. Because you're looking for love, and we think that love is a feeling. And so I'm looking for this ultimate feeling. So when I meet you and you make me light up like a Christmas tree, I now believe, oh, you're the one. All because of how I feel, because I never felt this way before, right? But the thing is, this feeling is just normal. This is not like, I'm supposed to be treated this way. So people be getting excited about being treated. No, you're not being treated extraordinary. It's normal treatment. But because you've been so abused, you think it's amazing. And then oh, yeah, okay, this is what I want. You don't know if that's what you ain't put in enough time, right? But my point is, let me get back to my point. Don't get married for love. Because when you get in marriage, love, I understand what people used to say, love is not going to keep your marriage together. I understand what they mean by that now. But let me be clear about this. I do believe that love is enough to keep your marriage alive and thriving. But that is if we love correctly. Because when we do love the right way, love does include everything that you need for a healthy relationship. It's all included in love. But the way we love and how selfish we are, what I'm telling you is, when I say don't get married for love, I'm talking about don't get married for the emotional high that you feel. Because that is not going to help y'all when y'all trying to sort out bills. That's not going to help y'all when you're having marriage difficulty and y'all don't like each other, right? Those feelings are gone. And what you're going to think is, I married the wrong person, because you are chasing that feeling. Don't get married for love. Now, don't get married if you don't love them. Right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying don't let love be the reason that you choose to spend your life with somebody, because you're going to suffer if you do. Right? Yeah. Like I said, you'll end up choosing what feels good instead of what is good. And then you'll try to make what you chose, you'll try to make it be good, but it is what it is. And I said that was the last one for the singles, but I got one more. So I strongly would suggest that you do the work to understand how you interpret love. Yeah. Don't get married for love, but I encourage you to understand how you interpret love, because you may not even know that you cannot see love the way you think you can. I mean, I think I've told this story before, but like one clear example is, like I study love, I teach love, but in 2019, when I preached my dad's funeral, that's when I learned that he loved me. But that's not when he started loving me. It was at that point not when I preached it, but when I prepared the eulogy and I'm writing all this stuff, I'm writing all these memories. I'm like, wait a minute. And I was able to see it. But when I was a kid, I didn't see it, but it was there. My point is, I couldn't recognize love like I thought I could. Even in my previous relationship, there's some parts of love. In hindsight, oh, she was loving me right there. I didn't even know that. Because it didn't look like the love it didn't look like how I thought love would look. So that has forced me now to look at love differently. And I've told you about how I used to look at, like if you're in trouble, like my thing was, if life is happening to me, I need love to show up. Like if you love me, you got to show up. But then Jesus and Lazarus fixed that. My point is, you got to know how you interpret love, because you are going to use that to determine whether or not your partner loves you, and you can be off. They can be so in love they can love you and be in love with you, but you not feel it. And the reason you don't feel it is not because of them, but it's because of your own filters. Your own filters. All right. So now let me give you some wisdom for the married people. Okay. So married folk. Number one, you must be committed to understanding your partner's world. Yep. If you're going to be married to somebody and y'all are going to be successful, y'all got to understand each other's world. I I may say that every time I get online. I don't know, because it is that important. It may seem small, but I'm telling you, it's going to change the way y'all communicate. It's going to change y'all experience intimacy. It's going to change the way you forgive. It's going to change all of that, because when you understand that what you're seeing from your partner has nothing to do with you, and you know if they could fix it, they would, you're going to interact with them differently. But if you don't know their world, you're just going to judge based on what you see, and that judgment is going to be based on the meaning that you have in your mind, what your heart has told you that means. And then on top of that, this ain't even part of it, but as married folk, let me just jump into this. If you're married, and you can't express yourself, get away from, far away from, do what you can to get away from shutting down and not expressing yourself. Like if you got to go to therapy, whatever you got to do, because being in a relationship, being in a marriage, and not being able to communicate, number one, you'll never get your needs met. And number two, your partner's just going to be confused because they're constantly trying to read your mind. You know how that's taxing. All right. So anyway, I was talking about be committed to understanding your purpose, your partner's world. Here's another one. Remember, you are not your spouse. What I mean by that is, if you're a husband, you're not your husband. If you are a wife, you are not your wife. The only person on the entire planet who needs a wife is a husband. The only one who needs a husband is a wife. So then that means whatever you do in the husband role, it's for her. Whatever you do in the wife role, it's for him. Now, you have other roles that you perform in life, but those roles, it's for him and her. Why is that important? Because we get caught up in, I'm going to be the kind of husband I want to be. For what? You're not serving you. And if you are, you're going the wrong way. Okay? And so am I promoting changing and becoming the kind of spouse that your partner wants and needs to an extent? To the point to where it don't change who you are as a person. But if you got to change some things, because remember, when you got married, you said till death do us part, which means the land you are living in now, you said you were never leaving. So learn to speak the language there. Don't hold on to the language of your homeland, single land. No, learn this, because you're not going back. At least that's what we hope. Okay, you're not your spouse. Learn how to communicate. Why? Because communication is way bigger than just, getting messages back and forth. Communication is one of the biggest contributors to intimacy. Yeah. We connect when we share with one another. So I would suggest that you become committed to learning how to communicate, particularly when you're upset. Learn how to be respectful when you're upset. Learn how to communicate. Don't shut down. If you shut down, get some help. But learn how to communicate what's inside of you and communicate it in a way that your partner can best understand it. Here's some more wisdom. Let your partner be who they are. Meaning, accept them. If you chose them, accept what you chose. Right? This is why choosing a suitable mate is so crucial. Right? Choose somebody and then let them be them. I remember, so I'll tell you something about me. So I have a good amount. I have female friends, right? And so before I met the person that I was with, I had female friends all my life. I ain't sleep with them. They are literally friends. But all of a sudden, now that we together, I need to be able to change that, not because it's wrong, but because you don't like it. Just because your partner gets with you doesn't mean that who they've been in the earth automatically change. Now, here's my point. Let me finish the point about the friends. So I'm not saying, like if you're in my position, I'm not saying you can't change and let your friends go do whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But for the other person, what I'm saying is accept the person you chose. Like if you didn't want that, then you shouldn't have chose that. You may say, well, I didn't know it was that way. That's fine. So either you didn't examine enough or it's one of those things that falls in the category of better for worse, and you didn't know was in your spouse box anyway. Well, that's life, right? But just understand it's crucial for you to let your partner be who they are. All right, you chose them for a reason, and that's why I talked about choosing someone who's already doing life the way you want to do it with someone, because we choose people and then we try to fit them in our fantasy box, and this box was not created. You created this idea of a husband or wife before you ever met them, and now you're trying to fit them into this box, and they never will. You have to divorce the idea in your head so you can learn to love the stranger in your bed. That's where that comes from. Right? You let them be who they are. You grow. Well, hey, I always wanted a wife that did this, but that ain't what you chose. I always wanted a husband that was this way. That's not what you chose. Now, I tell folk this. You can send them back, i.e. divorce. Here's the problem. If you choose another one, if you choose somebody else, all we have to choose on this planet are broken people. So you're just going to exchange one set of problems for another. And you folk do that, and I'm not. But I'm just saying, learn to love the person you're with. What's the next one? Be committed to personal development. Listen, it is selfish of you to be married to somebody. Your life is intimately tied to somebody else, and you won't work on you. That's trifling. It's trifling. You know you got anger issues and you won't work on it. You know you got a porn addiction, you won't work on it, right? You know you always have an attitude, wives, and you won't work on it. You know everything ticks you off. You're very sensitive. Work on it. Why? Because you're in a relationship with somebody else. Because watch this, when Valentine's come, you want all the gifts, but you ain't deserved them. I'm not going down that street, but I'm for real. Lastly, learn to forgive faster, right? Learn to forgive faster. Now, notice I didn't say learn to forgive. If you're married, my thing is forgiveness is assumed when you're married. At least to me, like if you're not a forgiver, marriage probably should not be on your radar at all. But if you're married, learn to forgive faster. Why? Let me tell you why. Because time is filled with swift transitions, right? We're not going to be here forever. Time is our most precious commodity. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. Not on this side. So when you learn to forgive faster, you can get back to love faster. And this is what I tell people, because I have some folk who are stuck, and they're not stuck on infidelity, right? They're not stuck on obviously detrimental things, but the things they're stuck on, it's like a nuclear war for them. And here's what I tell them. Now, it don't work on everybody. Most people it do, though. Imagine getting a call that your spouse was just in an accident and they're on life support. The fight that y'all had this morning is that, well, that's good for him because he shouldn't have cursed me out. That's what you're going to say, right? Imagine, however long y'all been married, whatever pain they've caused, you at the church, they up front in the box, in the casket. Does those fights really matter? Because here's what I learned. One of the most valuable lessons I learned in my previous relationship was a lot of things that we think are big, it's only big in our mind. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life. And if you would just let that go, instead of trying to make them, if you just let that go, things will be better. Because watch this, when they die, you got to let it go. You going to still be mad for what they did when they're gone? Well, so now we know the issue is you. Okay. That's kind of all over the place a little bit, huh? It wasn't all over the place, but it wasn't my normal. Anyway, I hope it was helpful. I wanted to just kind of like just share, like, and also too, if I'm gonna be honest, Proverbs 5 didn't have a whole lot to pull from as far as encouragement. But when I read that first verse, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna share this. So I hopefully it was helpful for you. Tomorrow we in I'm gonna do Proverbs 6, I believe. I think I saw something in Proverbs 6 that I want to do. So outside of that, listen, if this helps you, if it blessed you, send it to somebody. Share it with someone, right? Leave a comment. I like comments. I reply to a lot of them. Not all of them, but some of them I do. Anyway, you guys take care, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.